welcome to another NSA Houston President's Podcast. And do we have a treat in store for you today? As you're aware, this podcast is designed to really open up and offer opportunities, connections, and value to our National Speakers Association Houston chapter and beyond, because we actually have a guest for you from another NSA chapter that is killing it on the national level. Trust me when I say, Beth, your current president for NSA Houston, and I were at Influence, the big conference this summer, and they got several awards and got to go up to the front in the leadership meeting a lot. So we knew we had to be able to connect and open the doors for both their chapter and our chapter to collect. So without further ado, John Edwards is our guest today. So everybody say hello, John. You can imagine them, right? Yeah.
I can hear them.
All right. All right. So John, if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's get going today with, just getting to know you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Megan. Listen, it's a privilege and a pleasure to be able to spend some time with your folks, and I'm just really looking forward to our conversation. So as mentioned, my name is John Edwards. I am going to be president here of the NSA Carolinas. We cover both South and North Carolina. I've been in NSA on the national level. I really need to sit down and figure this out. I think it's been about 33 years, 34 years. So maybe 35, so quite some time here. And the Carolinas is not my first chapter. I did some work with the New York chapter when I lived in New York. Then we started actually NSA's first virtual chapter in the upstate New York region. I've been in the DC chapter where I had a remarkably wonderful time and met some incredible people before now moving to the Carolinas. Where I am involved, of course, in the Carolinas chapter. And so in addition to being in NSA for over 3 decades, I've obviously been professionally speaking for quite some time, training other speakers for quite some time. I've also held the leadership roles in a few Fortune 100 companies. So as you might imagine, combining those two things, I do a lot of speaking in the leadership space. Most of my clients are Fortune 100 clients, and about 80% of my business is repeat business.
Ooh, look at that. I told you, everybody, and told you this was a great leader for us to chat with today. So, John, tell us a little bit about NSA. Is it North Carolina or is it Carolinas? Because I want to make sure I get it right.
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's actually NSA Carolinas. We cover a very large geographical area, including both South and North Carolina. And as you mentioned so kindly in your introduction, we are one of the 4 elite chapters in NSA. I'm not taking any credit for it. They were already on a roll before I arrived about 5 years ago. And so giving a lot of credit to the previous presidents of NSA Carolinas. Some of them are just powerhouse names that folks would recognize. But what's really happened here in this chapter is I think those folks who have come before me have figured out the formula in how to create a community. And by doing that, we have just grown substantially. I mean, last year we had over 70 new members. This year we're on par, bringing in new members every month as well. So we're in a bit of a major growth mode. Again, giving so much credit to the folks that preceded me. So when I say we built a community, it's not just the educational component of learning how to run a successful speaker business from some of the biggest names in the country, but also the community of feeling that sense of belonging. You finally found your tribe of people who understand you, know what you're going through. So we've also been deliberate about building in a social component as well into our chapter. And I think that's one of the reasons why folks are feeling like they really want to participate. They really want to belong. They really want to contribute.
Absolutely. We found the same thing in NSA Houston, people wanting to connect because we have virtual meetings, but our in-person sessions are much more popular. And people stay like an hour, but after just chatting and catching up with everyone. So it's so great to see. How do you think, has remote work and COVID, how did that impact what our chapters are doing? Because I came into NSA Houston in 2023, and so that's kind of after that wave. But what have you noticed?
Yeah, I think it's made us much more versatile. And to your point, it's also made us a little hungrier when we do get together. So in the case of our chapter, we have, and the number varies, sometimes it's 2, 3, or 4 retreats a year, where because of our geographic disbursement, we get together and we'll meet at a hotel and we'll run. You can think of it as a weekend retreat, really. And we start on a Friday and we go all the way through Saturday, and we bring in speakers, and it's just a lot of relevant, full information. But it's also a great time to socialize as well. And so I think that what we've seen as we've all recovered from the isolation of the pandemic is there's still a deep desire to get together and to have some human fellowship. And in fact, we do an event called Second Saturdays, and it's a second Saturday of every month. And we geographically have areas where folks are getting together. So if you live in the Raleigh area, for example, you've got a large group of folks who are just voluntarily going to get together on a Saturday morning. It might be at a restaurant or someplace, a donut shop, and there's just conversation and there's fellowship, and so that drives the continuing development of our community. And so that happens geographically, but there's also a virtual version for those who can't get to one of the geographical locations. And I've had the privilege of hosting those recently, and in fact, we've seen, and this is, we've seen multiple folks from other chapters participate as well. There's no cost, and it's really simply just to get together. We have no other agenda but to get together, build a community. Now, if in the process of building community, we help solve a problem that you're struggling with, that's just an added bonus. But it's really about having some fun and getting together. And
Wow, so there's no cost. So NSA Houston, listen to that. Look at that opportunity. Please dial in. Check out NSA Carolinas because, like we said, they are award-winning, and especially if you can make connections across the country, all the better. Well, John, I know you and I stood for quite a while one evening at Influence's conference this past summer in Arizona. And so just, what would you tell folks who have not been to NSA or at the Influence conference if they are entertaining, should I go, should I not, what to expect? What are your thoughts around that? Because, in Houston, we're buzzing into more of what National is doing to help connect opportunities. What are your thoughts?
mm, that's a powerful question. I think um, I wish I knew the answer I'm about to give before I started going to influence conferences so long ago. What I'll actually share with folks is that I actually stopped going to influence. Don't tell NSA National that I just said that. But let me tell you why I stopped going to influence. And I've started up, but there was a period of time where I just had to stop going. Um, because I wasn't fully prepared to take advantage of influence. And that leads me into the answer that I'm going to give you today around what you should do to be prepared. Go looking to solve a singular issue, a singular problem based on where you are right now in your business. Because otherwise, you might end up like I did, which is just completely overwhelmed. After I went to influence for my first 5, 6, 7 years, there were so many things that I was being told I should do. And not only was my business not mature enough for some of that activity, but I wasn't mature enough for some of that activity. And I found myself getting just significantly overwhelmed. I was playing the comparison game. Why am I not where they are? Why am I not doing what they're doing? Why am I not having the success that he or she is having? And all of that weighed heavily on me. There was a lot of advice around, find your niche and specialize. And while all of those things are super important, I needed some time to figure out what was really right for me and for the calling that I had in the business. And so I stepped away for about 5 years. And then when I started to come back, I felt better prepared. And let me just share with you a few tips. Number one, what is the one thing that I want to really solve for? So I came in with 3 specific objectives surrounding one singular question. Like, where's my business right now? What am I struggling with and what I want the answer to? And I still walked away with pages and pages and pages of notes, but I knew I was parking those until I was ready for them. And what I really did is as I was taking notes, if anything was relevant to where I am in my business right now and what I needed to do tomorrow, I would star it. And then when I got home, I just looked at the starred items and made those actionable. And the other juicy things that I heard needed to sit on the shelf for a while, and I would come back to them months, maybe a year later. By the way, I still have notes from decades ago of going to Influence, and they're kind of fun to go back and see what's still relevant and what isn't, because my business is in an entirely different place today than it was 2 decades ago. So in order, be prepared to be overwhelmed, be prepared to be hugged by everybody. And I know not everybody likes to be hugged by everybody, but there's just too many people like me out there who are going to swarm you and hug you. So be prepared for that. And then be prepared for a lot of information and a lot of notes, and pace yourself. Focus on what you need to focus on. Go back to your room and take a nap if you need to, but pace yourself. Don't feel like you've got to get everything out of it. You just need to get something out of it.
That is exceptional advice, because that was a little bit similar to what I was told, is have one thing you want to solve or one agenda item. And so it's a lot. It's 4 days, so lots of opportunity to grow. Now let's talk a little bit about how our chapters might work together. As you know, there's high collaboration at the Spirit of Cavett in NSA. For those of you that haven't heard of the Spirit of Cavett, it's open generosity, working together, and it's just this kind life of abundance that all speakers have. So it's not fighting over work, it's just how do we get generously give back. So how do our chapters work together, do you think? Because I think there's one thing coming.
Yes, well, I'm excited that I'll actually be coming in and making a visit to your chapter here in the new year to spend some time with your folks face to face. So that's really exciting for me. I think just a couple of opportunities we have at hand here. One, we can continue to do what we've now started to do. We can actually trade presenters. You have some remarkable members in your chapter that I think could bring great value to our membership, and vice versa. We have a number of CPAEs, and for those of you not familiar, those are Hall of Famers. That's the highest award you can get in NSA, granted to you by your peers. And so we have some folks in our organization that I think can also bring value to yours. But then there's also this area of community building that I've been talking about. We would love to have some of your members participate in our virtual sessions. Now, folks, let me just be clear here on the fact that we're not selling you anything. We're not going to ask you for anything. We're not going to ask you for donations. If you want to send them to me, donations, by the way, to pay for my kids' college fund, we're not going to turn them away. But we're not going to, I'm just kidding. Don't send me anything. My kids are all out of college. It's just a joke. So we're just going to have fun together. And you're welcome to participate in some of those. We'd also encourage you to keep looking at our website, because sometimes our educational events are also open to non-members. And so if you see an educational event coming up that's open to non-members and you're thinking to yourself, I could learn something from that, feel free to dial in and register for it as well. I think one of the reasons why folks feel comfortable with us is no real sales pitch, no heavy duty. If it meets your needs, great. If it doesn't, that's fine as well. I think we can collaborate in those particular events also. And I would love to see us maybe think about something more formal. For example, we launched 2 years ago a mentoring program, and it's open to members only, and folks sign up, and then we put them in groups based on their experience and the challenges they're experiencing in their business, and find a very seasoned mentor for their group. And I think there could be some cross collaboration opportunities for us in the future. It's become quite popular. Right now we have 40 people being mentored by 4 mentors. They meet every month, once a month, and then in between their meeting with the mentors, they meet together as well, which is part of our community building, and help each other in that regard. And so I believe there may be some opportunities for us to think about creating mentor groups who are able to sort of cross-pollinate between the 2 chapters, and not only build relationships that way, but accelerate how fast we can solve problems and build success for those in the group.
John, I think I wanted on that. Yeah, well, I think, I'll reach out. I'll take it as an action item from here and reach out to our president, Beth, and say, hey, here's what's going on. We'll see if we can connect with the right people. And, I think a lot of it is people are hungry. Even in our chapters, we have people that are at the 4 different levels, right? Seeking about what is present, what is speaking, and then a little more seasoned, and then well underway, and then also highly seasoned, been doing a long time. So I think, too, blending that to give opportunity for people to give back if they're experienced, or I'm new, how do I, who's who in NSA and what happens and what are bureaus. And I know for me, I've been learning all about that in the past 2 weeks, which is just the way it happened in our chapter. So yeah, great. I think also too, we have our, I know y'all have the Speakers Academy, just like us, right?
Mhm.
So it's also, if you have the different, is your program virtual or is it in person?
Great question. We did a little change up this year. Our Speakers Academy is one of the least expensive, if not the least expensive in the country. We tend to sell out with a waiting list every year. This year, we added something, which is a capstone event. And so the entire Speaker Academy is virtual. But then at the end, and this just happened literally a few weeks ago, we come together and we bring in a two-camera video production crew. You give a 12 to 15-minute presentation. You have an audience. It gets videotaped. And so as part of our Speaker Academy, folks are walking away with this video experience as well. And so the end of it is face-to-face. But the rest of it is virtual. And it also tacks on to one of our retreats. So we did that on a Thursday. The retreat started on a Friday. So most of those individuals will stay in town and also participate in the retreat as well. So it's an experiment we ran this year. Folks seem to love it. So I suspect it's probably something we're going to keep intact as well.
And for those of you that have not yet hired a videographer, that's a lot of value right there. And that is cost savings galore. Plus, you get the added value of the network, the information, the community. Well, John, also, just to share with you, I know our chapter, Beth, and our incoming president, Jordash Johnson, are working to revamp our Speakers Academy. Our book that we were using had a lot of even old, like ATD's old acronym, ASTD. And so we're renovating a lot of it. So maybe even there's collaboration there as we get that up and running, if there's things we can help your chapter with, because, we all work together. And that's the great thing
Yeah.
about, well, the culture.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's nothing that says we can't. If the timing works out, because we're thinking about strengthening, lengthening hours a bit, but certainly if the timing works out, maybe there's even a joint session we do together.
Oh, love it.
Yeah.
And, especially even if it's the capstone or a joint session, personally, I was going to Nashville for something and then found the NSA past president, current president, and for Kentucky, I believe, and they happen to live in the area of Nashville. So you never know where the connections are, everyone. So that's the beauty of, what do we talk about? Community. It's not just our bubble, right? It's this big NSA community, and then it's so many levels. Well, okay, so what I've been have that on my mind the whole time, John, is I forgot to ask this question. So NSA Carolinas, award-winning power, honorable power role, doing great things. And you mentioned the second Saturday. What might be some other things you'd like to share with our chapter, just to kind of paint a picture of what a great chapter is doing, and then how you're involving with your members? Because we have different options, we're growing, but I think it's also let's shine a light on what great things your chapter, especially, seems to be really good at.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, good question. You know, I, I, I think one of the things that's been most impressive to me as I've thought about this chapter, and again, what folks who've come before me have put in place, is there's a deep level of involvement. So many members are so deeply involved. In fact, many of our committees this year, thanks to the design of President Sarah, Dr. Glover, are co-chairs. So there's two chairs. So the responsibilities are divided, but that means we have that many more people intimately involved in creating experiences for our members that are just simply, quite frankly, outstanding to see unfold. And so we have a deep level of participation in terms of how many people are willing to step up and contribute. And that's just been such a huge blessing to see and to observe. I think there's some other superstar things going on. As so many of you know, Larry Long Jr., during his presidential year, he was reaching out to every new member. Now, you might recall, I said we get in the number of like 70 new members a year. So that was no small feat to do. But when you have individuals like that who are creating personal touch points, we all walked away from that going, we've got to find a way to keep this going. Like, how are we reaching out as board members to every new member that's coming in? How are we making sure they feel assimilated into the community? They feel the love, quite frankly, taken care of, and they feel the relationship right out of the gate. Because you and I both know how isolating it can be to walk into a room of speaker superstars, right, and be easily overwhelmed if you don't know them. So we're trying to create an environment, not trying, again, folks before me have already done this. They've created an environment where new members, as soon as possible, can feel integrated into the family by knowing someone, and preferably a board member or someone in a leadership role or in a committee leadership role. So that's one of the things that we're doing. And then we've just been we've been on this singular mission. The way that I articulate it is our objective is to make sure you're still here next year. Yeah, and meaning that we want you to have had some success. We want you to have had some education. We want you to have had some encouragement. So we want you to be in the business, and we want to help you stay in the business. And we feel like if we do that, that'll direct the way that we're providing programming. It'll direct the way that we're providing support. It'll direct that area of generous and abundant giving, and so that we can be more specific in helping each of our members as well. So we're looking at member value through the mentorship programs we talked about, the mastermind programs we create, the community we create, and then the personal touch points. And sometimes that means we had the devastating storm that came through here. And as board members, we wanted to make sure we knew National was doing something similar, but we wanted to take the responsibility to make sure we're reaching out to every single member. And we had an update as a whole board on where every member stood who was in those areas that were geographically impacted, and whether or not there was something that we could or needed to do to help them. And I think that actually ended up going a long way as well.
What I hear a lot, John, is heart and personal connection. And it sounds like the commitment part is meeting you on the other side with people getting involved and people, driving it with you. It's not just the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, since it sounds so fabulous, how would our members what are some ways they can get in touch, follow? Do you have a mailing list for NSA Carolinas, or give them some insight on how they should connect with your chapter and you?
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, we're very active on social media, so you can follow us on both LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. So we do quite a bit deliberately on social media. The number one recommendation I would make is to go to our website, NSA Carolinas website, and look under events and see if there's an event that is free to you that looks like it might be interesting. And that would be a great way to get plugged in. You get plugged into our newsletter as well if you wanted to get added to that mailing list to see what kinds of activities we're continuing and ongoing here in our organization. And so happy to have you do those things. We mentioned the whole second Saturday thing. You're certainly welcome to join any of those virtual second Saturdays. We meet for an hour, although people tend to, kind of like you all, tend to want to stay a little longer. But it's an hour on a Saturday morning, and sometimes it's a little more educational. Sometimes, quite frankly, it's just fun. A couple months ago, we gamified information around the speaking business, and we simply spent most of our time playing a game where the answers were educational about what the current research is telling us about the speaker industry. And other times it's breakout rooms and conversations, and so it varies a bit, but we hope that it adds value every single time we do it. So that would be another way to get connected to our chapter and to stay in touch. And then certainly keep an eye out if we are able to formalize any cross collaboration between the two chapters. That would just be absolutely awesome.
Absolutely.
And then in terms of reaching out to me personally, you can feel free to reach out to me at my email address, John with an H, John at edwardsgroup.org. And so my last name, the word group, and .org, and I'm happy to reply as feasible.
Yeah, thanks for that too, because I really enjoyed our chat at Influence. So folks, if you're listening to us today, great individual, lots of heart, and just really wants to see people succeed. So it definitely made me feel that way. And I didn't even know who he was at Influence. It was just this guy in the hotel lobby one night when everybody was hanging out. So, okay, John, last question. It's one of my
Yeah.
favorites. You'd be surprised at the amazing answers that I've gotten. But what's a special talent that you have that not a lot of people know about as we close out today?
A special talent that I have that not a lot of people. Yeah, I was initially going to say playing musical instruments, and then I realized my background gives that all away.
Oh,
I would say, yeah, I would say that I used to be a professional ski instructor, and back in the day when it was really hard to find someone who looked like me on the ski slope. So we're going back into the 90s, and it was a fascinating sort of groundbreaking time. Not only to see someone who looks like me on a ski slope, but to see someone who looks like me as a nationally certified professional instructor as well was an entirely different picture. So that turned a few heads in those days, but it was that's I don't often talk about it, but that was a period of time for me that was really interesting and fascinating.
ah, see, I told you, cool things come out. I had no idea. I've never even met a professional that did that. So, yeah. Well, John, thank you so much for sharing your expertise, your information, and just your heart today with us. Folks, if you're listening, please join us on another podcast when we interview another president in the hopes of just really opening the potential and doors for our chapter and anyone we come across. Because there's so much out there when you think of the life of abundance and the spirit of Cabot, and we're here to do that. So stay tuned for next time. John, thanks again, and we'll see you later.